Joining us live now in the Newsline, Connecticut Congressman Jim Himes. You were among the many Democrats and Republicans, too, who voted in favor of the 2-month extension. Why did this deal fail?
Well, this deal failed because, once again, John Boehner and his Tea Party Republicans decided that they would put at risk the health of the American economy and, frankly, allow a significant tax increase on every single American because they didn't get exactly what they wanted. And, you know, you're talking to a Democrat right now, but Republicans in the Senate, where a vote passed 89-10 on a 2-month deal, nothing passes the Senate 89-10. Republicans in the Senate are calling on their fellow Republicans in the House to just steer away from this very, very dangerous course that is going to hurt this country and hurt people's families starting January.
They say they don't like it because it's only 2 months. It kicks the can down the road. Do you expect the Senate to return to work to try to work this out with them?
They're not going to return to work, and John Boehner knows that they're not going to return to work, and every Republican knows that. So, they just thumbed their nose at the American people. And again, remember what the Senate did. The Senate struck a deal that got 39 Republican senators on board, 89-10. Very rarely does that happen. Had they brought that 2-month deal to the floor of the House, it would have passed. It would have gotten the votes of Democrats and many, many Republicans. But once again, John Boehner was held hostage by his Tea Party wing, and just as he walked away from discussions with the president, just as they have sort of played brinkmanship around the debt ceiling and shutting down the government, this time they really pulled the trigger, and American families will suffer as a result.
Why only a 2-month extension? Why not, I understand the logistics of having to come back into Washington and redo the whole thing, but why not a longer-term deal from the very beginning with that bipartisan plan?
Well, a longer-term deal, first of all, let's remember what we're talking about here. We're talking about people getting unemployment checks or not, and that means putting food on the table or not. People seeing their taxes go up on January 1st or not. So to my way of thinking, and pretty much to everybody's way of thinking, including Republicans in the Senate, and to their credit, some Republicans in the House, 2 months is an awful lot better than seeing unemployment go away or taxes go up. That's not what John Boehner and the Tea Party believed yesterday. 2 months is not ideal, but it is better than the alternative. And look, every month that you add to that, if you go for a year, what you're talking about is figuring out a way to pay for a much larger package. That's more politically complicated. So any rational human being on the planet would say, look, we got a 2-month deal. That's great. Taxes won't go up in January. Let's take that 2-month deal. And then in January and February, during that 2 months, let's figure out how to extend it beyond the 2 months. Any rational human being would take that bill. Unfortunately, that's not a characterization that applies to the Tea Party in the House.
Assuming that it is allowed to expire, then, what happens in the new session?
Well, if it is allowed to expire, we've got a bunch of things that are going to happen, all of which are pretty awful. And look, at this point, with the Senate and the House having left Washington, it's hard to imagine how it doesn't expire. But first of all, many people who are getting unemployment insurance checks will not get those checks. People will see the payroll tax on their paychecks go from 4.2% to 6.2%. That's going to mean less dollars and a real blow to the economy. And it's not as much talked about, but doctors who are reimbursed by Medicare for their services are going to see a cut in that Medicare reimbursement, throwing a lot of uncertainty into that industry. So a lot of very, very bad outcomes because, once again, the Tea Party would not take yes for an answer.
Connecticut Congressman Jim Himes, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you very much, Mike.